Welcome to Future Sanctuary, where we inspire, educate, and equip people to build lives of freedom, purpose, and self-sufficiency by blending sustainable living, modern technology, and timeless values. If that sounds like a bit of you, like and subscribe or drop us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. The morning unfolds slowly, wrapped in a gentle stillness that only the countryside can offer. A pale mist drifts low over the fields, clinging to the orchard trees, while dew beads glisten along the fence rails, catching what little light slips over the ridge. The air is cool, scented faintly of damp straw and wood smoke from the embers of last night's fire. Lizzie steps out across the yard, boots crunching softly on gravel, the wicker basket balanced against her hip. Ollie trails behind her, still rubbing sleep from his eyes. His small frame is bundled in a jumper, hair tousled, boots already wet from the grass. She walks toward the chicken coop, the sound of rustling feathers and low clucks growing louder with every step. The hens are stirring, aware of her presence before she even unlatches the door. He tugs at his mother's sleeve, voice curious and hesitant in the cool dawn. "Mum, do hens need a rooster to lay eggs?" Lizzie turns, a smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. She knows the question well. It is one almost every beginner asks at some point. She kneels beside the nesting boxes, carefully reaching inside. Her hand lifts a still warm egg, and for a moment she lets Ollie hold it, the gentle weight pressing into his palm. "No, darling," she says softly. "The hens lay their eggs whether or not a rooster is here. A rooster's job is to make them fertile, for hatching chicks, but the eggs we eat for breakfast don't need him." Ollie frowns slightly, turning the egg over in his hand as if expecting some hidden secret to reveal itself. He nods slowly, the confusion easing into understanding. Grace arrives a moment later, carrying a bundle of fresh straw nearly as tall as herself. She scatters it clumsily into the nesting boxes, laughing as the hens shuffle and fuss, rearranging the bedding with their feet. The coop fills with the sounds of gentle clucks, the occasional flap of wings, and the rustling of straw against wood. Will appears in the doorway, his silhouette broad against the rising light. He carries a metal bucket that clinks faintly with every step. Together, the family falls into rhythm. Feed poured into troughs, water containers topped, hands brushing against feathers as hens bustle around their feet. The air inside the coop is warm, holding the scent of feathers and fresh hay. Lizzie's basket slowly fills with eggs, each one a small promise of nourishment. Ollie and Grace chatter as they help, the sound of their voices weaving into the rhythm of the flock. Here, the first lesson of the day settles quietly. Self-sufficiency often begins not with grand gestures, but with small, faithful routines. Chickens are among the simplest gateways into this life. They ask little: food, water, safety, and a clean space, yet they return abundance each day. The misconception about roosters is common. Many imagine that hens cannot produce eggs without one, but nature has designed them differently. The egg cycle of a hen continues regardless, driven by light, nutrition, and health. A rooster only influences what lies inside, whether the egg holds the possibility of new life or simply breakfast. For families like Will and Lizzie's, clarity on this difference is important. It sets expectations, eases confusion, and shapes how one cares for a flock. As the children carry out scraps to scatter in the run, Will explains the basics of feed and water. Balanced layer feed keeps the hens producing, but clean water is just as important. Check it every day, because even a little dirt or algae makes them reluctant to drink, and without water everything stops. His tone is calm, instructive, yet gentle, spoken as much for Ollie and Grace as for anyone listening. The flock gathers, pecking eagerly at the grains, feathers glinting in the early light. A red comb catches the sun. A wing stretches wide as one hen shakes off sleep. It is a scene as old as time, yet for the family, it never loses its quiet beauty. Lizzie kneels again to smooth the fresh straw. Nest boxes need care too, she murmurs, brushing away a soiled patch. One box for every 3 or 4 hens is enough, but they like it clean. Fresh straw keeps them laying and makes mornings like this peaceful. The work is not glamorous, but it is deeply grounding. Children learn responsibility, parents find rhythm, and the homestead itself grows secure through these habits. As Lizzie latches the coop door open for the day, the hens spill into the run, wings flapping, dust rising. Ollie races alongside them, laughing as they scatter. The sun climbs higher, touching the orchard with gold. Another day has begun, shaped, as always, by simple care and steady stewardship. By midday, the homestead hums with a brighter energy. The sun, having burned away the morning mist, now casts sharp shadows across the pasture. The grass glitters where dew has lingered, and the orchard carries the faint hum of bees working among blossoms. Will strides toward the chicken run, tools in hand, the children trailing after him with curiosity. Earlier, he had noticed something troubling, a faint disturbance at the far edge of the fencing, where the ground dips slightly toward the hedgerow. Now, kneeling down, he points to the soft soil, where a clear paw print lies pressed deep. The mark is slender, sharp, unmistakable. A fox has passed this way. Ollie crouches beside him, tracing the outline with his finger. "Was it here last night?" he whispers, as if the animal might still be near. "Perhaps," Will answers quietly, "or early this morning. Either way, it means we need to be vigilant." His tone carries no panic, only calm certainty. He taps the fence where the wire has lifted slightly from the post, leaving a small but dangerous gap. "See this? It wouldn't take much for a predator to push through." Together, they gather the materials. Lengths of hardware cloth, strong staples, a mallet. Will sets to work, demonstrating how to overlap the mesh and secure it tightly to the cedar posts. Ollie holds nails ready, while Grace fetches more straw to stuff into the hollow at the base, her small hands patting it firm. The sound of hammering rings across the pasture, sharp against the steady clucking of the hens. Predator protection is one of the most important parts of keeping animals. Feeding them is simple, but if you fail to secure their space, everything can be lost in a single night. Always think like the predator. Look for weak spots, test the doors, imagine where you would try to enter, and then strengthen those places. The principle is practical, but it is also deeply symbolic. Stewardship, after all, is not only about providing, it is about guarding. The family invests time, money, and care into the flock. Every fence check, every lock clicked shut at dusk, is an act of protection over that investment. The hens themselves pay little attention to the work. They roam freely in the run, scattering dust with eager wings, their contentment a quiet reassurance. Grace pauses her work, watching one hen with fascination. It crouches low to the ground, wings spread wide, body wriggling until it nearly disappears into a shallow hollow. Then, with a sudden shake, it flings dust high into the air, feathers coated in a fine layer of earth. The cloud drifts lazily in the sunlight, catching Grace's giggle as she claps her hands in delight. "They're taking baths!" she exclaims. Lizzie, standing nearby, smiles and kneels beside her. "Yes, love, that's called a dust bath. Chickens use it to clean themselves, to keep mites away and their feathers healthy. It looks messy, but it's one of the best signs of a happy flock." Chickens need dry, loose soil, ash, or sand to perform this instinctive ritual. It is how they maintain their own hygiene without sprays or intervention. As the afternoon ripens, the family's repair is complete. The fence now stands taut, reinforced, the gap sealed. Will steps back, surveying the line with a builder's eye. He presses the mesh, tests the staples, nods in satisfaction. "That should hold," he murmurs, "but we'll keep checking. Predators don't give second chances." The children nod solemnly, their eyes scanning the boundary, as though expecting the fox to test it at once. Yet within the coop and run, calm reigns. The hens scratch, bathe, and roost on perches, untroubled by what lies beyond the wire. The rhythm of care continues. Feed is scattered, water checked once more, droppings scraped from beneath the roosts. These are not glamorous chores, yet they weave security into the day. As Lizzie wipes her hands on her apron, she reflects aloud. Many people think chickens are just about eggs, but really, they teach us discipline. Each day, we repeat the same acts: feed, water, clean, protect. And in return, they provide food, pest control, even manure for the garden. Their gifts are many, but only if we honor the rhythm of care. Will nods, leaning back against the porch post, and they give more than food. The hens scratch at weeds, break up the soil, clear pests from the orchard. Their droppings go to the compost heap, feeding the garden. They're part of the cycle, a little system that keeps giving as long as we tend it. Lizzie glances at the eggs again. Of course, it's easy for beginners to feel overwhelmed. So many little things. How to feed, when to clean, what to watch for. That's why we've put together something for them. Our guide, Backyard Chicken Basics, the first 30 days. It's everything we wish we had known when we started. A day-by-day path to confidence so people don't get stuck or discouraged in those early weeks. She sets the basket down gently, her eyes soft with memory. We learned by trial and error, and while mistakes are good teachers, sometimes they cost too much. A sick hen, a broken fence, a predator in the night. It can all feel overwhelming. The guide gives people the foundation, so they can start from a place of calm rather than chaos. Will smiles faintly, his tone more practical. And for those ready to build, I've designed a predator-proof coop plan. Strong timber, hardware cloth, good airflow. The same principles we use here. It saves beginners from wasting time on flimsy kits or designs that fail after the first storm. With a good coop, half the battle is already won. The products are mentioned not as a sales pitch, but as a natural extension of the life they live. What has been tested here on their own land is offered to others, a bridge between vision and reality. For a moment, silence stretches across the porch, broken only by the hum of bees and the rustle of leaves. Then Will speaks again, his gaze lingering on the horizon. You know, it's not just the flock that needs systems. Our whole life runs on them. That's where the automation comes in. We use Beehive, a platform that lets us share guides, send newsletters, keep in touch with our community. When someone downloads the chicken guide, Beehive sends it straight to them, and then follows up with tips, checklists, even recommendations for feeders, waterers, and fencing kits. It all happens automatically. While we're out here tending the hens, the system is tending the business. Lizzie nods. It's the same principle, really. You build the fence once, and it protects the flock every night. You build the automation once, and it serves people every day. It gives us freedom to live this life, without being chained to a desk. The children wander closer, drawn by the conversation. Ollie sets down his scrap wood, his curiosity sparking. Does that mean people who watch our videos get the guide right away? He asks. Yes, Lizzie answers, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. They get it the moment they ask for it. And from there, they get to walk with us step by step, learning as we go. It's like opening the coop each morning, giving them something fresh, something useful. Grace leans against her mother's arm, listening quietly. So the chickens help us, she says softly, and we help other people with chickens. That's right, Will replies with a warm smile. It's a circle. We care for the hens provide for us, and we share what we've learned so others can succeed. Everyone gains something as long as the rhythm is kept. By mid-afternoon, the sun is high, the day's work nearly complete. The coop is secure, the hens healthy, the lessons of the morning settled. In their stead comes a gentle peace, the kind that follows work well done. The chickens continue their contented chorus. Soft clucks, the occasional triumphant squawk as another egg is laid, wings beating dust into the air as they bathe. Will and Lizzie sit together on the shaded porch, their boots dusty, the wicker egg basket resting at Lizzie's feet. Grace curls up nearby with a book, her lips moving silently as she traces the words, while Ollie busies himself with a piece of scrap wood, hammering a few bent nails with intense concentration. Lizzie picks up the basket, running her fingers lightly over the eggs, still faintly warm. She smiles, her voice low and thoughtful. "You know," she begins, "people often ask why we keep chickens, and I always think, look here. Every day, a fresh gift. Food that comes quietly, reliably, without fuss. Eggs for breakfast, for baking, for neighbors when we have plenty. It feels like abundance gathered in a basket. And they give more than food. The hens scratch at weeds, break up the soil, clear pests from the orchard. Their droppings go to the compost heap feeding the garden. They're part of the cycle, a little system that keeps giving as long as we tend it." The truth in his words is simple but profound. Chickens are often the first step into self-sufficiency for beginners. They ask little, but they teach much. About discipline, about stewardship, about the joy of daily provision. Lizzie glances at the eggs again. Of course, it's easy for beginners to feel overwhelmed. So many little things. How to feed, when to clean, what to watch for. That's why we've put together something for them. We use Beehive, a platform that lets us share guides, send newsletters, keep in touch with our community. When someone downloads the chicken guide, Beehive sends it straight to them, and then follows up with tips, checklists, even recommendations for feeders, waterers, and fencing kits. It all happens automatically. It's the same principle, really. You build the fence once, and it protects the flock every night. You build the automation once, and it serves people every day. It gives us freedom to live this life, without being chained to a desk. Does that mean people who watch our videos get the guide right away? He asks. Yes, Lizzie answers, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. They get it the moment they ask for it, and from there, they get to walk with us, step by step, learning as we go. It's like opening the coop each morning, giving them something fresh, something useful. The family gathers their tools, tucks away the straw, and begins the walk back toward the house. Behind them, the flock continues its simple symphony, scratching, clucking, bathing in the dust. A picture of health, sustained by protection, care, and daily attention. The afternoon drifts into a slower rhythm, softened by the warmth of the sun and the rustling of leaves in the orchard. The tools are put away, the urgent tasks completed, and the homestead settles into a gentler cadence. The chickens continue their contented chorus, soft clucks, the occasional triumphant squawk as another egg is laid, wings beating dust into the air as they bathe. Will and Lizzie sit together on the shaded porch, their boots dusty, the wicker egg basket resting at Lizzie's feet. Grace curls up nearby with a book, her lips moving silently as she traces the words, while Ollie busies himself with a piece of scrap wood, hammering a few bent nails with intense concentration. Lizzie picks up the basket, running her fingers lightly over the eggs, still faintly warm. She smiles, her voice low and thoughtful. "You know," she begins, "people often ask why we keep chickens. And I always think, look here, every day, a fresh gift." As the light begins to fade, the homestead shifts again. The heat of the afternoon softens into cool air that drifts through the trees, carrying the faint scent of wood smoke as Will stirs the embers in the hearth. Shadows lengthen across the pasture, and the orchard seems to sigh with relief as the sun dips low. At the coop, Ollie pulls the wooden door closed with a satisfying thud, sliding the latch firmly into place. "Safe now," he says proudly, glancing back at his father for approval. Will rests a hand on his shoulder, nodding. Yes, that simple act makes all the difference. One small habit, repeated each night, keeps the flock alive. Lizzie checks the nesting boxes one final time, collecting 2 more eggs left late in the day. She adds them to the basket, now full with the bounty of the morning and afternoon. As she holds it close, she reflects aloud. It's always surprising, isn't it, just how much they give. Even when we think the day is done, there is more waiting. It's a reminder that God's provision often comes quietly, without fanfare, but exactly when we need it. The family turns back toward the house, the lantern swinging softly in Will's hand. The porch light glows warmly ahead, a beacon against the deepening dusk. Supper waits inside, hearty, simple, drawn from the land and the labor of the day. Yet before entering, they pause a moment at the edge of the orchard, gazing back at the coop. The fence stands strong, the door secure, the flock at rest. In that picture, complete for now, lies the essence of their life. Work faithfully done, systems in place, peace earned through vigilance. Inside, the evening unfolds gently. Bread is sliced thick, stew ladled steaming into bowls. The children chatter between mouthfuls, reliving the day. Ollie's discovery of the fox track, Grace's delight at the dust baths, the lessons spoken and absorbed almost without notice. After supper, the fire glows brighter, and the family gathers near. Books are opened, plans sketched for tomorrow, laughter shared. Will jots notes for his workshop projects. Lizzie reviews her preserving jars. Each child curls closer to the warmth. These simple rituals knit the household together as surely as fences guard the flock. Here lies the truth of self-sufficiency. It is not a single act of independence, but a rhythm of faithfulness. Each egg collected, each bucket of water filled, each latch secured, they seem small, almost invisible. Yet together they build a sanctuary, not only for animals, but for family, for legacy, for peace. The words of Proverbs echo quietly here. Be sure you know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds. For riches do not endure forever, and a crown is not secure for all generations. This ancient wisdom still guides modern life, reminding us that abundance is not stored in vaults, but in the faithful tending of what God has given.